The desert wind carried the scent of dust and old secrets as the lone biker stepped onto the rocky path, leading to the hidden mountain bar, a place spoken of in rough voices and remembered in bruises. His boots crunched against the gravel like thunder in the silence, but nothing was louder than the weight in his chest. This was the place he once called home. This was where he had been stripped of his colors, cast out like a broken part in a roaring engine. And now, after 4 long years in the wilderness of life, he had returned. Not for vengeance, not for pride, but for something far more fragile, far more dangerous: forgiveness. If you believe in second chances, redemption, and the power of kindness, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, because this story is for you. The bar looked smaller than he remembered, its wooden walls worn by storms, sun, and fights that never made it into police reports. Neon lights blinked faintly behind dusty windows, and the laughter spilling out from within sounded the same as it did years ago, rough, sharp, and full of the kind of brotherhood that once meant everything to him. He stood there for a moment, staring at the door like it was a gate to a past he barely recognized. His leather jacket, once proudly patched with the Hell's Angels emblem, was replaced long ago. Now he wore a plain black one, except for a single stitch of red thread near the collar. A reminder. A promise. When he finally walked forward, the door swung open before he reached it. A group of bikers stood staring at him, their faces frozen between shock and rage. These were men he had bled with, drank with, fought beside. Men who once trusted him with their lives. Men who voted unanimously to banish him. When he fell into a spiral he couldn't escape. Their hands tightened into fists, and the air thickened like storm clouds gathering. Inside the bar, memories slammed into him, nights of reckless freedom. The roar of engines echoing through the canyon. Metallic smell of adrenaline after close calls. Yet beneath those memories were darker layers. The night he lost control. The night his addiction took him too far. The night he made a mistake that nearly cost his closest brother his life. That was the night they took his patch, the night they told him to leave and never return. Now, as he stood at the threshold of his past, a hush fell over the bar. More men stepped out, their boots heavy, their expressions unreadable. The mountains watched silently, as if holding their breath. He didn't raise his hands, he didn't flinch, he simply stood there, letting them see the man he had become. No chain, no weapon, no armor except the calm in his eyes. He could feel their anger like heat on his skin. But he also saw something else flicker behind a confusion, because the man standing before them was not the broken wreck they banished. His posture was steady, his eyes clear, his breath unfaltering. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the oldest of the bikers, the one with silver in his beard and sorrow buried deep in his gaze, stepped forward. He studied the man like he was reading a familiar book with new pages written in the margins. The tension was so sharp, it felt like it could slice the air. The biker finally spoke, not with words, but with a slow nod, a gesture that carried more meaning than any sentence could. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was acknowledgement, recognition that people could change. That time could heal. That maybe, just maybe, this man deserved to be heard. He stepped inside the bar, and the familiar smell of gasoline, whiskey, and old wood wrapped around him. He felt the stares from every corner, but he also felt something he hadn't felt in years, a strange, painful, hopeful warmth. He wasn't welcomed, but he wasn't being thrown out either. For now, that was enough. He walked to the bar counter, placed both hands flat on the wood, and exhaled. He didn't come to reclaim his place. He didn't come for pity or apology. He came for closure for himself and for the man he once hurt. And slowly, the truth spilled from him in long, trembling breaths. He told them about his years fighting his demons alone, about the nights he thought he wouldn't make it, and the mornings where he forced himself to stand anyway. He spoke about rebuilding his life piece by fragile piece, making amends with people he had wronged, and the quiet victories that no one ever saw. The men listened, some with clenched jaws, some with softened eyes. Time seemed to stretch, bending around the raw honesty hanging in the air. And when he finally finished, the bar was silent. Then someone placed a hand on his shoulder, a hand that once shoved him out the door years ago. The touch was heavy, rough, uncertain, but it held something powerful. Not a full acceptance, not a welcome back, but a beginning. A bridge forming where a canyon once divided them. Another biker stepped forward, then another, not to threaten him, but to stand near him. To show that they heard him. That maybe they understood. The mountains outside echoed with quiet ones, as if whispering approval. What stunned everyone wasn't his return, it was the undeniable truth that people can rise from their worst mistakes and become something better, stronger, kinder. He didn't regain his patch that night, but he gained back something he thought he'd lost forever: respect. Not the superficial, fear-driven kind, but the respect earned when a man faces himself and refuses to break. As he walked out of the bar, after hours of long, emotional conversation, the men didn't turn their backs on him. They watched him leave with eyes that held something unfamiliar: hope. In the dim glow of the neon signs, the world seemed a little less cold, and he knew, deep in his soul, that a new chapter had begun. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these powerful stories alive. Before the ending, please comment below: do you believe people deserve a second chance? And with that final question echoing into the night, the lone biker rode away beneath the rising moon, no longer banished, but reborn.